Gibby, what do you got for us?
You could let's be clear about this.
You lost to $2,000. Welcome back to, I think, episode 52 of Gus and Gorney. I'm going to speak for a little bit here because Gus is still eating a tremendous lunch that we got provided today. Cranbourne Turf Club. They do. Oh no, this is the charcoal chicken just down the road.
The Pasadena chicken.
Yep, they do good.
Hits the spot
Did
every
you get
single
yourself
time.
a Coke Zero today?
I've enlisted our young head of marketing, head of deals and sponsorship, should I say, Charlie Spargo, to get a non-named drink on my behalf because they're not a sponsor, so we can't name them. But good to be here, man.
Yes, it is good to be here, and we're starting back to Gibby off the front. We went Nazim off the top last time, but I feel like that's pretty important to get.
Yeah, he probably chewed into my time, but
Yep.
quality guest, so I was happy to take a backward step just for that once.
How are you?
I'm going well. It's good to be here.
Any flesh?
No, nothing recently.
Nothing. Well,
So
maybe because
it's been nice.
We've been away in Perth. I'm not sure how many Perth listeners we have.
Can't imagine it's that many
Yep.
compared to our Melbourne contingent, so that probably doesn't
It was
help.
quiet in Perth in general. There weren't many people on the streets.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about that. Gibby. We love Perth. We love playing football in Perth.
I think I said that last week.
What? Something about playing in Perth?
No, I said it was like 20,000 cases in Perth is really noticeable. No one leaves the house.
Well,
20,000 here is quite normal. Everyone goes, geez, good day today. Just 20,000. For those that are watching the podcast, I've got me Lay Day coffee cup today. In honour of the great man who's gone down. We're not sure how long he's down for because apparently he still might play. But Ed, he didn't get his 100% game time.
no, he got dump tackled and
Well, no. Did he?
well, they sent it to the tribunal, didn't they?
No.
Well, it was a free kick for a dangerous tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little
And he
bit...
kicked the goal, so he can't be that bad. He went back and slotted one from 45.
I'm in
so.
the David Noble camp here. I didn't think it was that bad of a tackle. But anyway, Ed, but I'm sorry. I get the ferocity, but I didn't think it was that illegal. But Ed went back and kicked it, and we were all celebrating with him, and he did not want a bar of the celebrations at all.
No, he was in a bad way.
Clary was roughing him up, and it looked like Ed was about to hit him.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you got whatever he's got going on. The ribs are an uncomfortable part
Do
of
we
the
know
body.
if it's ribs? That's a big thing to put out if it's ribs.
Well, I mean, we cut everything in this podcast, so...
I was saving you the right way. You didn't need to. I was helping you out the correct way.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've spoken at it a few times, and I'm not actually sure, to be honest. He's keeping his cards close to his chest, which probably isn't a good thing because he would have a sore chest.
It's not concussion, so...
Oh, yeah, well...
I think. We trained today, so I don't think it's concussion.
That's weird. It was never concussion. It was never anything near that, was it?
Well, I just thought when Toby...
Oh, it's not his ACL. Not his ACL, boys. I can tick that one off as well. So that's good.
I'll save you here on more positives in the injury news. Jack Viney will play. So
What happened to him?
He had hamstring awareness, bit of tightness.
Okay.
So missed a week, but he's back.
Yep.
That's good.
That's exciting. What about Harmsy?
Harmsy's still at least 1 week away, maybe 2.
Okay, and Salem?
Another 1 to 2 as well, potentially.
It's good. And
But
Chandler...
No rush. 'cause-
Chandler's still got the week suspended.
Yep.
And then we got Smutty Boy and Blakey Howes, part of the Wingers Club.
Young House.
Hibbo looking to return via VFL.
Yep.
VFL coming
Back in his
off
home,
the bye, so-
his spiritual
Frankston.
home, Frankston. So that'll be exciting for him.
There was a funny moment throughout the week where Gus has obviously gone to the wing because of necessity. We needed him out in the wing. And now he's gone to half back because of necessity. And there was a moment where Goody Harmsy gone down, who plays that high half forward, goes in the inside, and he goes, I'm not sure who we're going to play that role. And everyone's sort of looking around at each other, and Gus just stands up and goes, all right, I'll do it.
And everyone laughed, and then it was like, oh, actually.
Actually, he'd be a good half forward.
I have played that half forward role before, so I mean, who knows what'll happen.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
You played at Port Adelaide last year.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And had a half decent game, so wouldn't be surprised. But
Wouldn't be surprised.
what do you want to do? What news? You got some other news for us, or is that just about the long and the short of it? I'd hope you've got some more for us.
We've got some more for you.
Jeez, it's a slow start compared to Nazim. You don't have the comedic value that he has.
We try not to copy Hamish and Andy with a lot of our stuff, but the gusto is poor to start from all three. So let's really jack it up from here.
Sure. Okay, let's fire up.
Talking rival podcast, you went on one. Ryan Shelton.
Yep.
Sure.
What was your story? You said you needed to bring something there.
So first of all, the Imperfects podcast is Hugh Van. You can make up whatever the last bit of his last name is. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure he'd prefer you didn't.
Van Rilenberg.
Yep.
Sounds something
Love that.
like that.
Sure.
Very good fella, and his brother. And then Hugh, And then Ryan.
Friend of the podcast.
Friend of the podcast, Ryan. And they asked me initially, would you like to come on? And I thought, I've just listened to some really good podcasts from them, one including like Peter Hallier, who had this big, like amazing story about, sorry, not amazing, but like Deaf in the Family and how he reacted to it. And I was sitting there going, I don't really have this big story.
You've already written a book though. You must have had a couple of good stories.
But then I also thought it's not a footy podcast, so they don't want me to just come in and talk about how we rose from the demons and all that amazing stuff that a lot of people who listen to this want to hear about us interviewing the Premiership Cup. Imperfects is a little bit different. So I was a little bit out of my depth. But I thought one of the best things that I think actually changed our football club that could be used in any industry is how we spoke to each other.
Yep.
Which I think has changed. It still lapses. We've lapsed on this podcast. Often. But it's so much better than where it's been. And it definitely feels like it's a much greater place to be from both performance and also just turning up each day and being happy.
100%.
So I thought that was a good message and they agreed, and then we spoke for an hour and got some good feedback. Did you listen?
I haven't listened.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
It seems weird that you'd asked the question and didn't listen, but I don't mind that. You've obviously just had a look at the socials.
How did you know?
He's had a look at my socials. He's looked at it and gone, I'm not going to listen to this.
Well, I get to listen to you on a podcast
every
once a week.
Do you listen back to this?
No.
Okay. Who does? Seth?
Yeah.
Tough gig? Nazim would have been a tough
I
gig
listened to
last week.
Nazim, I must admit, because I just wanted to see how much.
I don't think much would have got through.
How much.
We actually went for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it went for 45 minutes.
Yeah, they
it was an amazing
cracked it in
cutting
45,
job.
so.
We asked our boss, sat in for Nazim last week, because he's a bit nervous in Matty Goodrow. And we asked what could stay in, and he gave us his A4 size of paper with the amazing amounts of notes of stuff that wasn't allowed to stay in.
Which is incredible. So that's one that I did listen back to. Boy, that was funny.
I've been given some feedback that we can't talk about Jess and Danielle, so
we definitely won't mention Jess or Danielle.
We won't mention Jess or Danielle. Jess and Danielle have had their time on the podcast, and it's time to move on from Jess and Danielle.
No more of that.
No more of that.
You mentioned Steph just before. What are your thoughts on him liking a rival podcast?
This was huge.
Dunkley and Treloar?
This was huge because obviously this week's a big week for us because we come up against the other OGs in the Jock and the Journo.
I think they're the Milwaukee Bucks.
The old fella and the young fella. What's
young
the podcast name?
The Old Bull and the Young Bucks.
Old Bull and Young Buck in Mundy and
Griffin Logue.
Which I'll ask David about it.
I'll be asking, and his nickname's Barra, by the way.
Barra, that's a great nickname.
I'll be getting stuck into him about it.
Oh, what's his nickname was Killer Watts. I love stuff like that.
It's awesome. Our whole family calls him. Mum's favourite player from Fremantle is Barra. So
who's Deb's favourite player at Melbourne?
That's a really good question. She's got 4 favourites, and then the boys who've lived with her.
Okay, and then
Barra hasn't lived with Deb.
And did she have a West Coast favourite for Hamish?
No.
Okay, so she wasn't a West Coast fan.
Because Hayne played his one game.
Family
Hayne played a lot of time in the. She had a favourite. Josh Rotham was her favourite West Coast waffle team player, but he only played one glorious game for the mighty Fighting West Coast Eagles, and I think she was pretty focused on him for that one.
Okay. I cut you off. Did you have more?
No, I had just mentioned the Stefan issue.
Yeah, he liked. Look, let's just call.
Oh, we didn't talk about that at all, did we? Yeah, you liked Treloar and Dunkley's photo on Instagram, and I understand watching it.
Really?
Yeah, well, if it comes up in your feed, you're allowed to watch it. But I don't understand liking it. That's a rival.
Okay, yeah. Look, let's accept that as our team premise, and even still, you've gone ahead and liked it. You don't have a microphone, so there's no recourse. But can we set a team rule that you're not allowed? I mean, it seems implicit.
But we, as the talent, are going on other podcasts, so that's almost.
Yeah, but a wise man once said to me, the rising tide lifts all boats.
Okay. And that's what Steph's now nodding his head thinking that's what he's doing.
Yeah, well, Stefan is not the rising tide. He is a single bloke who's jumped from our ship to another ship. So can't have that. But
do you have any Gibby or Wild Sun?
No Gibby, Wild Sun.
Gibby's admitted to not being caught in the flesh. And Wild Sun, he's harder to find this week.
He's harder to find. There's not a heap of that, to be honest. I'll tell you what has come. We've had some feedback, and it's overwhelmingly negative.
Yep.
And there is a really high correlation between the people giving the feedback and also people who listen to our podcast named Clancy. And And even people who aren't named Clancy are giving the feedback because they've got a mate called Clancy or a loved one called Clancy, and I think
there needs to be some sort of apology, doesn't it?
Look, and I don't want to say who has to make it on the podcast because, as I said, we're on the same podcast vessel. So I think on behalf of the entire podcast, it's probably fair at this point to say, look, we probably missed with Clancy.
No, I don't reckon we did.
I mean, we could pick worse names, so like Adolf,
There's two
for
ways
example.
to go, either an apology or a double down. And I think
What if you... how
Max is
about
going the
we
ladder.
get stuck into bad names like you wouldn't call your son Adolf?
Jesus.
So if there's any Adolfs out there listening, we're happy to not have your support on this one. We are apologising to all the Clancys in the world.
Did that get through?
I tried to find a name that I didn't think was that common in today's day and age, but apparently it is. So sorry,
so I
Clancy.
said there was one bloke who said, I know 50 Clancys in the MCC.
That's completely
That's
false.
a joke, but
That's completely false.
you must know at least a couple. There was one bloke whose name was Angus, whose middle name was Clancy, and he said that's upsetting. And then there was a smattering of Clancys throughout the socials.
I'm going to run with a new name.
Is he going to be
Cleve.
Cleve? I don't think I
don't know.
I don't know a single Cleve.
Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Well, there's one on Family Guy. That's Cleveland.
Cleveland.
But there's a former Richmond player called Cleve Hughes.
Okay, well, Cleve Hughes, if you are listening to the Gus and Gorney podcast, we're singling
Are you just
out.
going to nominate a terrible name each week? If someone listens, they just can't listen anymore?
Yeah, no, can't listen
get
anymore.
zero.
But if you are called Cleve and you
Ruffle
listen,
some feathers.
please message in. I will make sure that if we have a significant amount of Cleves, then you'll issue another apology next week. So there was a lot of Clancys that were up in arms, and fair enough too, because Gawny singled you out, embarrassed you, and that's not nice. Speaking of things that have sort of popped up on the socials, you got a goal assist.
I did.
So that record's been shattered.
That's exciting. That's a record I wasn't over the moon with.
Yeah, so I mean,
I kicked it to Cozzy.
Yeah, you did.
Cozzy went back and
he
kicked the goal.
So that
Do you know I thought about that on the ground when I
really?
kicked it to him? I said that's an assist. But if he missed, it's still not, which is annoying.
You're exactly. It wouldn't have been an assist, a goal assist if you didn't kick
I
the
missed
goal.
two of my trademark goals.
Yeah, someone said that.
But that was my other side. So when I wheel
Yes.
out, I'm wheeling away from goal.
Makes the angle tighter. If
Correct.
you think about it's just simple geometry. There was one person who said, I wonder if Max knows the word exorbitant.
I do not.
Okay, well,
What does that mean?
very high.
Hold on. What does that mean?
No idea.
Thank you.
Exorbitant. She said, I'm trying to fly down and the fees, airline fees are exorbitant. Very high, which means very high. Exorbitant means very high, so you didn't know that one. And then we had this rogue unit who messaged in saying Ed Langdon was the first player in the history of the AFL competition to play in a grand final with a long sleeve jumper, and we've debunked that one in about 5
One
seconds.
Google search.
One Google search, 5 seconds of Gibby's time, and that
Shane
was
Wakeland or Daryl.
it. I can't remember.
Which
Someone.
one's the
Either.
Collingwood one? Shane. Let's run for
know.
Shane.
Yeah,
he
go
used to
with
catch the train to games.
Good on him. So social's been quiet this week, so look out for Toon. He might be hanging around hospital wards depending on how bad his ACL is.
Yep.
So
We're going to quickly do our votes for Gus and Gorney Award of the Year.
Yeah, okay.
We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, pre-Nazim. We want to do our own thing and try and set up. I don't know what the winner's going to get yet, but they'll definitely be on the podcast, which is exciting.
Talk to Sparks about some potential sponsorship.
Yep. And what we do is we all give one vote to our player that we think deserves and does all the things that we think are the values of Gus and Gorney.
Wow. And they would be.
Yeah. So I'll start.
And they would be.
And my vote is clearly for Tom Sparrow.
Okay.
I think Gus and Gorney values going in hard, fighting for as long as you can, big ferocious tackles, second effort, third effort, forward effort.
Forward effort. No comment.
I thought Sparrow led the team really well, so he's going to get my first Gus and Gorney vote for the year.
Is this purely performance based?
See, when he says the Gus and Gorney values,
Because
you just interpret it however you
You
want.
can interpret how if you think
naturally-
someone was comedy level high.
Comedically.
That's what I wanted. I was going to say comedic, but I can't say it. I just said comedic.
Yeah. Anyway,
So
Gibby.
I'm giving my vote to Tom McDonald because it is Sir Doug Nicholls' round. He donned the sleeves for a quarter. He couldn't quite get it for the full match. Obviously, you
So you get
did as
votes
well.
for Donald for a
So
quarter.
we at Gus and Gorney value doing things a quarter of the time.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
It's for
That's how he's
wanting to
interpreted our values.
represent the jumper that
He's trumped you a little bit there.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm looking for the connection. I saw Trent. My vote's going for Trent Rivers.
Okay.
And he ran back really fast and spoiled a ball, just like I imagine that green zone termites would go hard and spoil the termites out of their termite nests. Yep. So Trent Rivers gets my vote.
I will circle that and he'll get the player of the week, and we can see if we can get a termite hat.
I'm sure we can get Sparks on that, and the termite hat will be coming his way. But we should go to a break. Our guest will be coming up next.
We've got our guest, which is really exciting. Genuine star of the Melbourne Football Club. Now, Gus, we all know the team at Zurich Insurance are proud sponsors of the Gus and Gorney podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Huge supporters of the pod. I think they were our first sponsor and certainly our first platinum partner, which is a huge result.
Yes, and they've also been on board as a co-principal partner of the club since 2018 and have been protecting Australia for over 100 years.
That's right. They provide insurance for individuals and families, plus businesses large and small.
Now, Gussie, we know you're a big fan of protection, rocking your helmet at every chance you get, so this is very on brand for you.
You're absolutely right. To see how Zurich can support you, head to zurich.com.au or contact your financial advisor or broker.
Welcome back to Gus and Gorney. Obviously, this podcast can't go ahead with the beautiful work of our sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, it starts and stops with Zurich.
Doesn't stop, but starts with Zurich.
Certainly starts with Zurich, and you know, insurance is an important part of the world we live in. And if you need any insurance needs met whatsoever, then
type in Zurich on Google.
Go to Zurich, and they'll sort you out. I've got everything aside from them.
You can go look for Zurich on Google at the same time as having a nice Palmer and a pot at any sporting globe.
Any sporting globe venue. And then, we've just got a raft.
So I'll just quickly go through these because they are tier 3 wheels. Green Zone Termites, East End Wine Bar, Oliver Lock, Squash, Fat Nut Customs, Baileyfridge Electrical Cabin, and Little Bridge Cafe. You buy 10 wraps, you get a wrap for free.
You get a wrap for free. So that's just some of the corporate sponsorships we've got. Haven't actually... Oh, and Choco's Sharons, what are they called? The winches or...
The winches...
What are they called?
Precision.
The Precision Sharons. That we can't forget them as well.
In fact, actually, Helper, can you go get us a Precision...
So look, lots of sponsors. We'll park the sponsors. We've actually got our guest in.
Yep.
People listening will know already who it is, but we'll introduce him anyway. Long time player, staff member, and terrific ambassador to the club.
Basically part of the walls.
Part of the furniture.
Yep.
Wheels.
Matthew Whelan.
Wheels.
Yeah, Matthew Whelan.
Wheels.
You've obviously you've been banging down the door for a while to get on.
Yes. Yes. I've heard a lot about this show.
Yep.
As you keep telling me, it's probably the number one podcast on Spotify and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
is
that true? Is that correct?
Since I said that, we've slipped to 19. But
yeah. Look, let's not dig into the numbers and the facts. And we'll just
we started going down gotcha calls, and it just wasn't us, was it?
We'll steer clear of the facts and just focus on you being here, mate. It's good timing as well, because whether now, as you got the beanie on, we're now the Narrm Football Club for the week, which is you're awesomely involved in that. You're the Indigenous spokesperson just about of the old Melbourne Football Club, and you must be loving what's going on at the moment inside our four walls.
Yeah, very excited. Probably something I didn't actually think would happen. Probably a pipe dream when I first thought about it, but the fact that I guess the leaders of the club allowed me to pursue this and thought it was a good idea. I think it speaks volumes of, I guess, our leadership.
100%. I mean, so what year were you drafted to Melbourne?
99.
And so 2022 minus 1999 is how many years?
23.
It's 23 years you've been at the club. You must have seen...
No, we missed I went away for about 5 or 6 years.
We missed a couple of years in there.
But from when you came to now, you must have seen, like, there must have been huge growth in this area, and you must be so proud of the things that have been achieved in this space and the growth that's been.
Yeah, I think not just the club, but the AFL in general. I think I spoke about what Anzac Day is, I guess, to AFL football now, how much I've learnt from being in actually the footy circles. And I think that Sir Doug Nicholls round can be that sort of, I guess, ship to, I guess, teach Aboriginal history and that sort of stuff. So hopefully that'll continue through us and through the rest of the, I guess, the AFL.
Yeah. I personally love how the club has embraced it to a level where, like, everyone's committed. And it started from, obviously, the leaders. So you talk to your Purdies, your Richos, your Goodies, and it filters down to a point where, like, every single person's, like, terminology and vocab has changed to Narrm, which makes it so much more powerful. And I've been involved for 13 years, and this is as powerful of an Indigenous round that we've done.
Yep.
And it makes me really proud. And we're about to go, well, hopefully 2 from 2. with Narrm
Very
Footy
nice,
Club, and
yes.
it's going to be a hard convince to go back to Melbourne.
Well, I mean,
They were 15 in a row, Melbourne, but Narrm are now it could be 2 in a row.
Like Narrm and Bowser just undefeated, it's just like that. So, no, I think it speaks volumes. I mean, Peter Jackson probably sort of got the ball rolling with, I guess, my role. We launched our first reconciliation action plan in 2017. That's when I came on board, and I guess we've gone from strength to strength.
Yeah. 100%.
So you've been, Angus spoke about 1999. You've seen some of the great Melbourne Indigenous players, including yourself. Who do you put at the top? And then I've got my top. Mm-hmm. I don't reckon it'll be the same. Is my gut feel, because you got a little bit of Jeff.
Yes.
So
you have to give the. Anyway, you talk. You go first, Wheels. Sorry, I was a Fremantle fan growing up, so I watched Wizard.
He got Jeff, and he didn't get Maisie and Cozzy. I'm
interested to hear what you, having seen all of them.
Yep.
What you, if you wanted to rank them in order of.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
Well, I mean, we ask hard questions
I'll
here.
be getting a lot of texts and abusive phone calls after this list. So, well, when I was lucky enough to get, when I first got to the club, Jeff Farmer and the Prince, Scott Chisholm were here.
Yep.
So another Fremantle boy. So, Jeff taught me everything I know. So I was lucky enough to play on him. Well, I don't know if it's lucky, day in, day out at training. And
so he taught everything you know, but then you played back pocket.
Exactly. He goes, do this to me, do small forwards because they hate this, So I was lucky enough to obviously play with Jeff and see, I guess, a little bit of him firsthand, but then obviously went to Fremantle and had an amazing career over there as well. So
and you had to play against him, literally.
Yeah, so I'm lucky I didn't have to play him too much. They seemed to give Doggy Brown him a little bit. So, that was probably a good thing for me.
That bullet. Yep.
Exactly. So in terms of ranking them, it's a hard one because I saw Aaron Davey. I was here for the start of Aaron Davey's career in his first sort of 4 or 5 years in the AFL system. He changed the small forward role from just being, kicking goals, and now it's the pressure forward and that sort of stuff. So, and his skills are probably the best I've ever seen. Like you talk about kicking inside 50 being one of the hardest kicks, the most important kick on the field, and he was unbelievable at it. So, I'll probably have Flash up there in terms of, I guess, what he could do with the ball, and obviously just the way he changed, I guess, football.
I'll answer my own question now.
Sure.
The most skilled,
Choose your words.
The most talented player, and I think the best performed over the short period that he was here was Liam Jarrah.
Yeah.
There was a group of Liam Jarrah, Ozzy Woodamiri, Jamie Bennell, Neville Jetta, and Aaron Davey. Wheels just got retired, and
I've got 1 year of all of them.
Yeah, and he retired for me to get drafted. So beautiful gesture. Thank you.
Like for like.
And I walked in, and it was just, they were the 5 personalities of the football club. They were playing, all 5 of them were playing unbelievable football, all in the team. And it was such an exciting time to be at the Melbourne Football Club. And Liam was doing some special things. I'm not sure if you've seen any vision.
Oh, I mean, not to the.
The mark of the year on Watsy is
I've seen that one.
But he took about 10 of them.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, and they were so unconventional. They were never like Jeremy Howe's marks. They were sort of like, you just didn't see it coming. And I think all people that are Melbourne and have watched vision of Liam Jarrah, they would agree. But Aaron Davies sticks up. He's 200 games. Changed the game.
170 something.
170, close.
Best and fairest winner.
Best and fairest, and then got tagged pretty much the rest of his career.
So where did Cozzy and you mentioned Nev?
Cozzy and Maisie aren't in my top 3, aren't in my top 2 yet. Aaron and Liam are still 1 and 2. Maisie's close. Maisie's right there with 3, Neville and Maisie, and then Cozzy's just rounding up.
He's got time on his side though.
He's got time on his
He's got
side.
plenty of time. He's done some special things though.
Yep. So drafted from a South Australian team, Woodville West Torrens.
That's controversial. Darwin Buffaloes.
Yes.
Darwin boy, territory boy. So
Well, you're a Catherine boy.
grew up in Catherine, but born in Darwin.
Gawny, 2 misses.
Grew up in Catherine.
Yeah,
But he's from.
But I was going to be actually born in Wave Hill. I don't know if you know Wave Hill.
Well, both
Wave
of
Hill
us, I'm
walk-off.
guessing no.
I've never been
Vincent
away.
Lingari, with Golf Whitlam pouring the in his hands. That's the Wave Hill.
Oh, there you go.
So that's where I was going to be born. We actually used to live on a cattle farm out that
right.
way. So, but no hospitals out that way. Got flown to Darwin, born in Darwin.
Understood.
Then moved to Catherine for about 9 or 10. Then went to Darwin. So.
Yep. And then
18,
how did you get from Darwin Buffaloes to Woodville West Torrens?
Yep, I was sort of playing pretty good footy, but been overlooked in a few drafts. The AFL thought I needed to go to a better competition, so I went to South Australia. Just had some connections there. Ended up at Woodville West Torrens. Played under 19s my first year. Really good year. Had Matty Pavlich, Kenny McGregor, Robert Shirley. We won the premiership in the first year. Yeah, it was a really good team actually. So, and then following year played senior footy, and then lucky enough to get drafted to Melbourne.
Do you know all those names?
I know Matt Pavlich.
Didn't know Robert Shirley.
Not as intimately familiar with Robert Shirley.
Yeah, right.
I got a signed thing from Matt Pavlich. He was my favourite player growing up.
He was a tag of Robert Shirley, number 12.
Yes, very good.
Who was
too.
the middle one you said?
Kenny McGregor.
Kenny McGregor, big full forward.
Do you
Centre
know?
forward. Actually played every position on the ground, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, good on you, mate. Yeah. So you know him, do you?
Well, I was just, you pick me up on words, I'm picking you up on...
Kenny McGregor, yeah, he's good everywhere.
He would have played
plays
150 games, Kenny McGregor.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's good everywhere. He's good everywhere,
He's
Kenny. Wasn't he?
Probably good, his mate.
So we actually had 7 blokes drafted from our senior side that year. So
Well, you've named Pav, and then Gus doesn't know the other 6, so...
Well, I know Wheels.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
Rep Big
Well, you didn't get his
Rep
first
Big
name when you introduced him before.
Good on you, mate. Matty Whelan, good on you. So you've come then from Melbourne. What's the transition like? You see Indigenous boys come and sort of sometimes take a little bit of time to come out of their shell. Did you find that was the experience with you as well? Or
for me, moving to Adelaide, I think was a big
Yeah.
thing for me. So big country town, a bit bigger than Darwin, and going from Adelaide to Melbourne, not so big.
Yep.
Probably prepared me for, I guess, traffic and cold and all that sort of stuff.
Because I know, Wheels, it's a loaded question. I know you had dinner for a long time with the Herbert family. That's the big roast with Mans and Philby?
It all started with me, so you can all thank me for
no
that
worry.
one. So,
That's a proud lineage that's still going. So
and you know the story how we met?
I think you got like held up one day basically by Mans. She came and said, "Come here, I'll be your mother," or something along those
Pretty
lines.
much something like that. It was at one of our best and fairest, or one of our functions we had, and I was outside in the foyer and got chatting, and then the next thing I know, I was going to her place for dinner with a few of the other boys I lived with, and then it's continued on for 15, 20
it's
odd
still
years.
going.
So it's
So
There's another connection that you made through the football club, and that is
where are you going with this one?
your beautiful wife
Yes.
was initially a cheer squad.
No.
Oh, am I off again? Damn.
You have to check your research there.
Yeah, please.
Don't look at Wiki.
But she was a Melbourne supporter.
Yes, Melbourne supporter, yes.
And that's how you met.
Yes, so one of the many times I was injured, saw her in the crowd one week, and then saw her a couple of weeks in a row, and then
Worked up the courage to
chatting. It wasn't the most out there sort of fella, so worked up the courage, and then married, and 3 kids later.
Rest is history.
21 years later, we're still together. So
It's a good story.
21 years, so 2 years in your Melbourne career.
yes, my second year at Melbourne.
23.
Because it's 23 years, so 21. I want to talk about 2000 because there's some devastating stories around our football club last year with Jaden Hunt, and you've actually exactly the same round as Jaden Hunt.
Are you sure? Have you got this research right? Or
I'm
is
not
this
sure if you know this, but Wheels played all first 20 games in 2000 and then got...
No, that's wrong.
You've been putrid today, mate.
How many games in 2000 did you
played
play?
16. So I started in round 4, played all the way up to round 19 or 20.
Jeez, you got me on a technicality.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know this, Gus, but he played every game that Hunty played except for the first 4 and then the last 6.
But then injured before the finals and didn't play finals.
Fractured my neck.
Jesus.
Missed all the finals.
Yeah, and how was that? Because that's a...
I can't imagine it was
Well,
fun.
I'm not
mate.
talking neck. I'm talking how was missing the finals. How did you handle it? How did you cope?
I didn't really think much about it. Like
You just thought you'd be there next year, didn't you?
exactly, we had a young side. I thought the next 5 years we're going to dominate, and it was a long way from the truth. So it's just like I said. I thought it would be there next year. I'll be right. We'll get there. So I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. So I was just spewing. I missed out on the LG TV. All the boys who played in the granny got the LG TV, but I didn't get one.
really?
So I was a bit shattered.
We didn't get an LG too.
Not sponsored by LG anymore, mate.
This bloke. You really need...
Might get some Zurich insurance.
But the forgotten, a lot of 2000 is talked about Cam Bruce and Brad Green. And to be fair, Brad Green kicked 5 in a prelim. Do I get that right at least?
Yep.
And Brucey was on fire.
Did ya?
We forget that there was the rise of Matty Whelan as well. Like 16 games in a row.
He broke his neck.
Oh, Jesus.
Rise and fall right there.
Speaking of injuries,
Yes.
one of the more famous incidents is the Nathan Brown incident. I'm sure you've been asked
Yes.
millions of times. Take us back to the moment. Did you hear it?
Yes. Not initially, but because the week before he kicked 5 goals on James Clement in the last quarter against Collingwood. So he was in pretty good nick. And I played on Brownie a few times. throughout my career. And then, I think it was in the second quarter or something that I just went to smother the ball, and I think Brent Maloney was behind him, and just sort of held him up a little bit, and then it just fell across his leg, trying to smother it. And then as I was laying, I guess, on his leg, it was sort of at right angles underneath me. So
that can't be good.
I didn't realise that thing because I was watching the ball, and then as I got up, I could see it was pointing pretty much like this microphone. That sort of angle. So, and you sort of play the incident back through your head, and you can hear the snap and that sort of thing. So, he went straight into shock, and he just made a few grunts, to be honest.
Did you struggle post that?
Nah, not me. No.
He's all right, man.
No, it was obviously, I rang him sort of later that week. I know after he had surgery and that sort of thing, and just to check on him and that sort of thing. But,
how was he? Doing all right?
Yeah, well, I was doing a little bit better than him, but his actually first game. I feel sorry for him because his first game back in the VFL, I actually played on him, and I was actually, so he's walking down towards me, and he goes, "Just don't fall on my effing leg." So unfortunately, so I got him two games in a row. For him.
You do hear it a bit because he's in the media. He always says like he was winning the Brownlow that year.
He was on fire, mate. It was like he was scary at his best, so skillful, and not many left footers can kick both feet.
Yep.
And he's one that you probably can't tell that what foot he is. So he was a dangerous man.
Yeah, well, that's certainly a strength. So
let's talk about the beautiful long sleeve jumper that I wore the week just gone.
Yeah. Sure.
Which you were getting into Tom for wearing. And hopefully I'll wear it again this week because the MCG will be a bit colder, which might be a little bit more comfortable, and Tom might leave it on this week.
Clary going to just
warm
up again?
Clary wore it in the warm-up and had all intentions on wearing it down the ground and then had it off. He made the quickest decision of all time.
He's touched the prune 45 times, so whatever he's doing is probably working.
He was on fire.
Yeah, he's wearing it in the warm-up again. He can do the exact same thing. We had Uncle Bill and Kaya come in and present to us from their Wurundjeri land. And
Wurundjeri.
Did I say it right?
He's not great with words at the best of times, Wheels. You've missed about 10 times. I just want to apologise on behalf of everyone.
Wurundjeri, and I usually get it right.
I didn't sound great either, I'll be honest.
Close enough.
Because I didn't actually know there's the eagle on Wurundjeri Way.
You know, I actually did know that.
I didn't know that.
Good on you, mate.
And they came in and presented, and Kaya spoke a lot about the jumper and what the jumper means.
Yep.
And it was I love that there's follow up there. I love that we're just not wearing a jumper that's Maisie or yourself get up and speak about. We actually hear from Kaya who designed it and why she designed it. And it was really important. And I want to thank you for what you've done for Indigenous round, especially for the football club. And what I'm learning still after 13 years of being around Indigenous footballers and being in sessions like this, I'm still learning. And I think it's our role as well to be able to teach our friends and teach our family and not just leave it to you, you do a tremendous work at the club, and I wanted to thank you. But before you go,
I've got something as well.
Okay, I need his vote for Gus and Gorney.
Do that first because I'm talking sponsorship with Wheels.
Okay, do you have a best on the Gus? So when you think Gus and Gorney, what screams at you?
Good looks.
Yep.
Okay, so who was
Sam Wiedemann.
So who was the best
flashy
looking?
sort of? Yeah, that's
nice.
Who was the best looking on the weekend then?
This is a vote for the Gus and Gorney award for the year. We don't know what it is yet, but
I'll go Maisie.
He
was up close and personal with Zerha.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I was a bit worried that
he's
one
a big
stage. I'm
unit.
You
like,
were up close and personal.
so was I. He
as well.
steamrolled me. Ruined my golf swing. I couldn't swing a club the next day. He just absolutely flattened me, the big fella.
It's one of the best goals I've seen live.
Oh mate, I saw him live as well from the ground. I had a different angle. It was awesome to watch. Wheels, we you heard our impressive list of sponsors, and I just want to take you back to 2018 when I had a good game up in Alice Springs and won a Bundy stick. For those who don't know, a Bundy stick is essentially like a wooden mallet which
It could do some damage.
does
Really
damage.
could.
Gawny's won one as well.
Yeah, I've got one.
You got a Bundy
He's probably
stick?
got the biggest one. He's got the massive one.
And I've got a boomerang that I
Compensating.
got in Perth last year
cool.
after the prelim, which is self-explanatory.
Yep.
And yeah, so I've got those two things.
Good on you. So I sleep with my Bundy stick next to my bed. Absolutely love my
Smart.
Bundy stick. And the day someone crosses me, they're going to get absolutely... Don't try and
You're
rob me.
inviting people just to come in.
Come on in. Like, let
So
me
what?
Bundy
I
stick
can,
you.
I can smell something here.
So we like to offer a sponsorship deal to our listeners. For example, if you use Gus and Gorney at termite checkout, Green Zone Termites, you'll get a 10% off your 1,000th termite killed. Things of that nature.
Great deals.
I'm not sure. Are you the contact, the Bundy stick contact that someone comes to the club, here's our Bundy stick, that then gets given on to the best player? Are you the guy who organises that?
Yes.
So you could, and we can follow you up on this, potentially buy 50 Bundy sticks and get 15% off your 51st Bundy stick, potentially. Is that something we can maybe get going in the works?
I'll have to talk to the people who make them.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure that could be arranged if you really wanted it.
I'm saying
well,
people...
let's get Spargs onto it.
You don't know you need a Bundy stick until someone's robbing you. So I think that there's a huge market for this stuff, and if we can follow that up and add to our, as you heard, impressive sponsors, that would be really exciting. Do you sleep next to yours?
No, I don't actually.
Because I know genuinely, she who shall not be named, because we've spoken enough about them on the podcast, sleeps way better knowing that there's this thing that's within arm's reach that can... What's it that traditionally used to just cave in kangaroo skulls or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Use them as a weapon. Yeah. If you're hunting kangaroos, just to finish the job if they weren't finished first.
That's what I was saving mine for.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not a heap of kangaroos around your joint, but...
Down the coast.
Well, when's the last time a kangaroo hopped into your backyard?
Well, but when it does...
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe there's a reason they don't. But we're going to follow that up, Wheels. I mean, I'm probably the most excited about that deal. Hasn't come to fruition, but I'm looking forward to seeing that cabin. Thanks very much for coming on,
Matthew.
Mate.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Anytime.